and you can put my picture, and the voice.
It's live. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome today to our show for the budget. Okay, so we're decoding the budget for investors. Today, I have with me someone who's been around in the capital markets for over 40 years. She's not only the managing director of a brokerage house, a very well-known brokerage house, but also has been a former president of the Bombay Stock Exchange. See, someone you regularly see on television, a chartered accountant by profession. We welcome Mrs. Deena Mehta. Ma'am, welcome to our show, and thank you for accepting our invite to talk to us and the viewers about the budget.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure, Nainesh, always. I have had many interactions with you in Bombay Stock Exchange on various seminars. So I think I would not miss any opportunity to be with you. So you can shoot your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So today's budget, today we were expecting. I mean, the entire country, over 100 crore people, had their expectations on the finance minister. We were expecting a populist budget, to give the middle class some hope. Before I ask you questions, let me ask you what was your view on the budget? Was it really a middle class centric budget? Will it benefit the larger community of India?
I think if you look at the budget, I would say that the hero of the budget is infrastructure, because the amount of emphasis and the amount of allocations and the amount of percentage of GDP, almost 5% of GDP, all the funds, I think highest allocation goes to infrastructure. So today's hero is infrastructure, and what follows out of infrastructure is, of course, jobs to various people, and then infrastructure development means multiple other industries, everything developed. Infrastructure development means lot of companies would be involved in the infrastructure creation. So I think it's entire ecosystem of the country, and when you have such a large budget, what happens is that every part of the country is involved today, be it making a direct road from Delhi to Srinagar, or going to the northeast part, or creating they are going to create picnic spots, or rather tourist spots along the border. So every part of the country, it is a comprehensive and all encompassing kind of projects that have been planned. And if you look at the Wikipedia as to what are the infrastructure projects which the government has planned, I think it's phenomenal vision that is there when it comes to planning of the infrastructure projects. So I would say that infrastructure is number one hero. Of course, every sector of the government has been tapped. Like for example, MSME sector gets something. If you look at women entrepreneurs, they are going to get so many things. So everybody is being targeted. Like children will get digital libraries, like nursing colleges will be set up. So I think every part of the social strata, be it children, be it women, be it working class, everybody, there is something for everyone into the budget. You may not be a direct beneficiary, but indirectly you will benefit out of the various proposals which have been put forward. And it is a growth oriented budget, because the government hopes that whatever deficit is there, it will come out of the growth in next year. So all in all, I think there is something for everybody. If you have a very positive outlook, you will definitely see gains into the budget. And generally, I am a very bullish person, so I feel that these gains should ultimately flow into the stock market, and we hope that there is money in the pocket of people to invest in the stocks. So either you will spend or you will save. When you get extra money, only two things are possible: you will spend or you will save. If you spend, then the consumption will go to fund the top line of some company. And if you save, it will hopefully flow into the financial sector, which may indirectly come into the stock market. So either way, money in the pocket of the citizens, definitely it helps in acceleration of the growth of the economy.
Thank you, ma'am. How I would conclude it is this budget was RRR, the triple R, roads, railways, and reforms. Infrastructure, the hefty railway budget, and reforms in terms of compliance as well as the markets, the economy. Talking about investments, and you mentioned that you would want people to have money in their hands to invest. Let me ask you a question. Here we had announcement of the new regime, and 7 lakhs to be a rebate for a person earning up to 7 lakhs. You will have to pay no tax. But the new regime says you don't have to do any investments in terms of ATC deductions, ATD deductions, or HRA deductions. As a person who has holds such a big brokerage house, as well as someone who's bullish on India, do you think this will matter in terms of the money flow that was coming from these investments to the equity markets?
See, the deductions which were there were hardly 1.5 lakh rupees. Whereas if you look at the people having portfolios, they have 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 50. So people who are actually wanting to save and invest their savings, they have to come to the financial market and buy various financial instruments which are there. So that compulsory putting money in ATC, and actually ATC ka, if you look at ELSS schemes, I don't think any of them perform really very well. The return which you got was the tax rebate. You didn't get a big return so far as that schemes were concerned. So I would say that 1 lakh compulsive investment is not it will not impact so much, because what you need is a psychology to invest. You need an attitude to invest. You need the financial literacy, and if you have the financial literacy, then you will understand that there is no option to investment. You have to save, you have to invest. So my mantra would be that saving is not income minus expense. I would say that income minus saving is equal to expense. So saving is something which comes first. It is your first expense, and just because you get a small tax rebate or you don't get it, I don't think it will really make people save or not save. So you shouldn't be too much bogged down by, oh, the compulsion has gone. And in fact, if you see, not many people have migrated to new tax regime. Actually, what they are trying to do is to push people into the new tax regime. People actually prefer the old tax regime, and old tax regime has not been discontinued. So it will take at least a couple more years for people to move to the new tax regime, which though the government says it is the default regime and they would want everybody to go there, but it is going to take time, because LIC is something you will always take, LIC policies, and these deductions, you feel that there is a real gain in these deductions, and that's why people have not opted for the new tax regime in totality.
Sure. So, yeah, I think that's a valid point. I mean, and there will be a point where people will be motivated enough to put in their money on their own rather than doing it because they're getting tax rebates. Ma'am, there was an announcement on insurance, and a bit of confusion as well. There will be taxability in terms of the maturity amounts, in certain insurance policies. Can you tell us what is your thought about that? Some of these insurance companies today were down 10% plus. I mean, what do you think could be the impact on these businesses going ahead?
You see, people, there was definitely a misuse of buying insurance policies of very high premiums, because when you get the refund, then it becomes totally tax free. So it was a misuse which was happening in the system by people who were taking, key management person. I think that was one policy. Key man insurance. Key man insurance. That was one policy. So, people were using insurance as a tax planning tool. Of course, it was a allowable tax planning tool. So now that loophole has been plugged by the government, and very high policies, in that, what my understanding is that what you get as bonus over and above the amount that you have paid, that will be taxed. But if you look at the returns which LIC has been giving, it is in the range of 5 and 6%. So you would look at, 5 and 6% return. Of course, it is compounded. On high value policies, there will be a taxation, and but I feel that the number of persons who are taking insurance policies are in crores. Despite that, India is an extremely under insured market, and people. So I do not how many people are taking. If I go insurance policy, insurance family, my father, my brother, and my brother, they are insurance, and all of I do not say that hardly 10% revenue comes out of policies, whereas 90% are small guys. So small people are giving these policies. So I think on a large scale, it will not impact. Maybe the market is overreacting. So unless we study the numbers of the proportion of high premium policies, then only we will know what is the kind of impact which will be there.
Sure. Ma'am, talking about the markets, I mean, as soon as the speech got over, we saw the markets doing amazingly well. We are about 1,000 points up on the Sensex. From after the speech, somehow we crashed about 1,000 points on the Sensex and finally ended flat. I mean, so the looks like the market is in a confused scenario. My question to you is, and I think that's a question that all our viewers will have today. What next? What do you see coming next, and how should you take up your investment decisions going ahead?
See, normally it is very normal for the market to go down after the budget is announced, because people have lot of expectations from the budget, and always markets go on what next. So budget was something which was highly anticipated. Lot of negative things were expected in the budget, like capital gains. There may be some changes, like wealth tax. There may be some changes. So stuff like that, some negative news was expected. But when the negative news did not come, and there is a major thirst for the infrastructure sector and other things which have been announced, there was a definite jump in the market. But ultimately, what happened was that people who had bought in anticipation of the market, who are essentially short-term traders and others, they would like to exit. Plus, people who have got say medium-term investment, they will also feel that for the time being, whatever good news had to come has come. So till we have a next story which is on the horizon, then only we will be able to take a next call on the market. So this is, I would say, more of a trader's call. But so far as investors are concerned, I think these ups and downs in the market should not bother them. And whichever shares you feel are good, which you are tracking, you should track. It is, this market is not a stock market. It is a market of stocks. So don't look at the index, because it is not representative, I would say, of the all the shares which are there in the economy, or all the sectors which are there in the economy. Because big sectors, if you see Indian Railways, LIC, fraction of the shares are listed on the market. So you have to look at stocks and try to follow them, and market, index may be up or down. You should try to get your good shares at a good price. That should always be your endeavor. And if you don't understand, then best thing is to go for SIP, or companies like us, we are having a stock basket which helps the small investor to invest in a group of shares like defense stocks, or maybe the electric vehicle stocks, or the rail stocks. So that is, kind of a sector-wise investment is also possible. So I would say that as a small investor, retail investor, don't worry about index ups and downs. And of course, the popular report about the leading company, which is today, is being published. I think that is also a talk of the town, and that also is influencing the prices. So one cannot, say that whether it is the overall market sentiment which was bad, or was it because of a particular news.
Sure. Ma'am, I think I agree with the fact that SIP is the way to go. And probably, falls like this, which are very directly correlated with certain group of companies, bringing the entire market down would be an opportunity, to kind of collect quality stocks. However, having said that, I'd want to ask you a question more broader. Of late, we've been hearing a lot about recession, US, UK entering the recession cycle. What is your view? Do you think India still is in a position to maintain the a position that we are in, of outperformance amongst its peers? If yes, where do you see the green shoots in India?
See, India is a whole make in India that we are talking about. Like we are increasing our infrastructure. Who is going to benefit? We are only going to benefit. What is the share of India in the world market? We are very small fraction so far as US is concerned. It is not as if we are a major supplier to US. It is not as if we are getting major things from US. So the relevance of India in the world market is really very low. So we are not really influencing the world market as such. But so far as our domestic production goes, I think what we are trying to do, like in defense, we are doing complete substitution of defense and other things. So fact that we have a very low share in the world exports and other markets. We have maximum exposure to the Indian companies only, Indian public, Indian consumers. Like for example, defense substitution. What is going to happen is that we are only going to consume whatever is going to get produced in the defense companies. So for me, the influence of the world market slowing down on us is not as big, because I am India centric more rather than being a international centric. So suppose if I was exporting oil, for example, I would say, and if the all the economies across the world are slowing down, then who will buy my oil? Then it impacts me. But today I am an importer of oil. I am an importer of so many things, and what I am importing, I am trying to use it myself, make it myself. So I think I wouldn't worry so much about US, UK, and other countries. To be honest, I think, but the psychological impact is there because the FIIs, they are one of the biggest investors so far as our market is concerned. And compared to last year, we had almost 17,000 crores net outflow, which happened during last year as per the economic survey which came out yesterday. So to that extent, because of the floating stock, if you look at the stocks, what stocks are there with the promoters, what is with the FIIs and Indian institutions and the Indian public, I would say that FIIs have a very large portion of the floating stock. And if those markets do not do well, then the flight of capital which happens from India, it does impact our stock markets a lot. Fortunately, in last 2 years, 2 3 years, the domestic institutions have had a good appetite because of the Indian savers going to the mutual funds and others. We have had a positive impact and not a huge huge fall. That is despite the FII money going out of the country. But that is something that we have to live with, because the current shareholding, if we see, then it is actually it is favoring FIIs, and their movement would definitely impact our market. But that is in the short run. If Indian investors continue to have faith in India and go on investing through mutual funds, I think a stabilizing factor will be available in the market.
Sure. Ma'am, you've been in the broking business for a very, very long time, and you've known Indian markets closely. Let me ask you this. Obviously, the budget is over, but my question would be, uh,
Yeah, continue.
uh, what were your expectations in terms of stock markets from the budget? I mean, is there anything that you would like as a broker or a participant of the market, the finance ministry to take up? Uh, yeah,
Actually, according to me, this budget exercise has to stop only. I think it is more of a media, it is more of a media, hype. The entire budget exercise. पहले there used to be railway budget also. पूरा railway budget का इतना ड्रामा होता था. So I think budget should be a non-entity. Whatever government wants to do, wants to announce, it can go on doing it. Now, why do you need a budget and announce it on a particular day only? I mean, government can go on sanctioning projects, and once a year, just publish what you have received and what you have spent. As it is, income tax numbers are available on monthly basis. GST numbers are available on monthly basis. Government spending, government projects, everything is available. RBI comes out, with various estimates and what happened and what actually happened. So, क्या relevance है budget का? I don't know. I think over a period of time it has become a non-entity. And so far as when you have when you don't have budget, then there is a stability to the policies of the government. So long as government is following the same policy and do not deviate from them, then you don't need a budget. You can just go on doing whatever government, they come with a 5 year plan. So let them go on following the 5 year plan. So I think it's more of a media hype. इतने सारे लोगों को पूछने का, what do you expect, what do you expect, and then when actually come, who can expect, and then when it actually come, everybody says I have to read the fine print before I can comment. तो मतलब क्या फायदा हो गया? You just whatever is said in the budget speech, that is only what people analyze and understand. Nobody reads the fine print. So you should actually read fine print before analyzing the budget. So
sure.
I feel it's a non-entity, non-this. Like RBI gives a policy every quarter, government also can announce कि भाई ये quarter में क्या क्या हुआ, they can announce it.
Interesting view, ma'am. This is your 39 budget. You've been
Yeah.
around watching so many budgets. Tell us about how it has been, what are the changes? The recent speech was about an hour and 20 minutes. We have been told that previously the budget used to go on for 2, 3, 4 hours. So, can you tell us about how it went previously?
Yeah, actually, budget, they used to give so many shairis, poems, and whatnot in the budget. That used to be the, hallmark of so many finance ministers. And I remember the first budget discussion we had gone to, we used to go to Doordarshan first 2, 3 years. And Doordarshan studio was so old, and they had a blue parda behind. So we were informed, don't wear blue and come. क्योंकि वो blue में blue दिखेगा नहीं. And there used to be rats in the Doordarshan studio, and we used to be so careful while answering कि पाँव ऊपर रख के जवाब दो, because suddenly the rat will pass by you. So these are really funny things which used to happen. And that time there was no technology to telecast across VSATs and other things. I think in mid 90s or late 90s that technology came. So they used to set up the entire Doordarshan studio in the Bombay Stock Exchange, and then RBI governor used to come, and all of us used to be there and give our views. So that way, over a period of time, it has evolved. And of course now we have so many remote newsrooms like the CII newsroom and all those things. So these, technology and use of digital power, I would say bandwidth. So much bandwidth is now available. That time the bandwidth, we used to fight with the government because what transponder space we got was 1/8. So to run a VSAT 1/8 transponder was absolutely negligible kind of bandwidth power that we have. Today in small children's and school children's mobile phones, कितना सारा unlimited bandwidth is available. So I think positive things have happened. There is so much analysis, and government is also more reactive. Like immediately when the speech got over, government circulated a summary of the entire budget which was there. बाकी तो बजट का डॉक्यूमेंट मिलने में 2 दिन लगता था. Now so it is immediately posted. So I think these are all welcome developments. But I feel that there is too much hype around the budget, and it is completely avoidable. And we can do with quarterly review of the economy, like RBI does. We can have reviews, and government can go on telling us what they are doing.
Sure. So we have the last 4 minutes. If any of our viewers would like to ask ma'am questions, please post it out on the chat. We might take one or two. Ma'am, I would want to ask you a concluding question. According to you, how would you finally conclude the entire feeling of the budget? As an investor, again, I'd probably ask you this again, but as an
See,
investor,
as an investor, to be honest, I am very happy with the budget because the initiatives which are planned for MSME sectors, for startup, for infrastructure, I think all these will result in better revenues for companies. All this will result in lot of companies coming forward for raising funds, so you can have lot of IPOs coming into the market, and more, as I said, more money in the pocket of the citizens would lead to further progress in the economy. So net I have a very good feeling that yes, good job has been done, and I am satisfied that our government is functioning properly, and I really hope that the implementation of all that is announced, even if 60 or 70% happens in a timely manner, then we would definitely see India as a changed place, because we are today talking of 1,90,000 being the per capita income of people. And if this were to double in next 2 to 3 years time, then I would really feel very happy that the prosperity of the country has entered into the house of each citizen, and what will follow is the prosperity of the stock market must also enter into the houses of each citizen. So it is very necessary that all these plans succeed, and we really wish the government of best, and we also must decide to put in our best, because whatever we are doing, we should do our best, because all these contributions will lead to a really very dynamic and progressive India.
sure. So that was an amazing and a positive reply on the way you look at the economy. Ma'am, I'm going to take one question from one of our viewers. We have a question from Aniket. He says, do you think the new tax regime is a honey trap for citizens to bring them under it? Because later they cannot move back to the old tax regime and not take benefits of deductions. What is your view?
I mean, there is nothing like a trap today. Like today, it is a better one because without investing 7 lakh rupees is tax free. But I think over a period of time, one has to change. And I am personally, as a chartered accountant, I am not in favor of having too many deductions. See, deductions had a purpose at a particular point of time where we wanted to encourage people to save, to invest, to buy insurance. That was a different phase of time. Today, the times are different. We want to put more money into the pocket of the person and give him the discretion कि भाई तेरे को जहाँ खर्चा करना है तू कर. So I think instead of forcing citizens to invest in a particular pace and This it is better to have them have the freedom of whatever they want to do with their money. So new tax regime, according to me, is a better regime. But ultimately, personal taxation is what suits you the most. So you have to plan your own taxes, and going to the new regime, there is really no loss as such, because there also you had 1.5 lakh rupees deduction. So at 6.5 till 7, you had no tax in the old regime also, and new regime also you have no tax till 7 o'clock, 7 lakh rupees. If you really see, it is only in the lowest tax bracket that there it used to matter. Now that has been corrected. So I would say that you have both the choices. So you can't blame government. But then from here on, a new tax regime will be preferred. So it's okay. I would prefer that there should be no deductions at all. We should have a higher cutoff rate rather than having so many deductions. इतना सारा voucher रखो, TDS certificate जमा करो, and put it, upload it in your tax system. क्यों सब मगजमारी करने का? Just have it simple. This is my income. This is the tax. End of it.
Yeah, interesting answer. So, ma'am, we've eaten up all the time. Thank you so much for the amazing half an hour that we got to learn from you. For everyone who's watching us live, we had committed to half an hour, with Deena ma'am. If you have anything to ask, please put it out on the comments. We will ensure that we will answer your questions. If there's anything about the budget that you really liked or disliked, feel free to put it out on the comments, and we will be there to kind of help you and understand, or talk to you about it. So, ma'am, on that note, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We are very
No, I'm
happy
sorry
to
about the
interact.
connectivity, but there is so much traffic. I just couldn't reach my house. So I'm
No, no,
sorry,
that's
but
it.
I think my voice was quite clear.
It was, it
Okay.
was. So
Yeah.
thank you
Thank you.
guys. On that note, thank you, and we will see you again. Thanks a lot.